Hi! I know it's early September, but would you believe I've already seen trees with some of their leaves turning? That means it's time for a handmade fall card. And so today I'm going to make one for you using the Stampin' Up! Hello Harvest stamp set and coordinated rustic pumpkins dies. My handmade fall card features an elegant pumpkin made with the rustic pumpkins dies that coordinates with the Hello Harvest stamp set. I'm Shelley Godby, the owner and CEO of Stamping Smiles, and for 21 years I've been teaching others how to create their own hand stamped smiles. And so I played around with different colors of ink and cardstock before I had my final design of my handmade fall card. So stick around to the end, I'll show you some of those other color options. Here's a closer view of the Hello Harvest stamp set and coordinating rustic pumpkins dies. And when you order the two of these together using the special bundle item number I have listed right here, you'll save 10% on both. Always look for bundled savings if there are coordinating dies or punches for a stamp set. And see, look how ornate this pumpkin is. We'll be using this. And then there are dies to cut out the images, for the pumpkin and the flowers and the banner and some more intricate ones. So let's start with some stamping because I want to stamp before I die cut. And what I have here is some pale papaya cardstock. And look how beautiful it goes with the Cajun Craze. Isn't that something? I just thought, ooh. And as I was telling you, I was fooling around with different color combinations and settled on this one. Really like it. So we'll start with the Cajun Craze Classic Stampin' Pad. So I just pick that up. There we go. And slide that in. And then I'm choosing the Wishing You the Loveliest Day. Isn't that nice? All right, so we'll ink this up. And just come over here and stamp straight up and down. I love our classic Stampin' Pads. They stay moist at the top, and with this firm foam pads, you don't have to pound. Remember the old pads where you pound, 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 pound? I was talking to a girlfriend. I said, "What are you hammering?" She said, "No, she was stamping." And because the ink pads, this is how you close them. But see, they store themselves with the ink always going down, so they're just so nice and juicy. There we go. So we're done with that. We'll set that aside. And then next, I have Very Vanilla cardstock instead of Whisper White for the warm color. And this time I'm going to use the Pale Papaya. Same thing. Pick that up, slide that in. All right. And then the leaf from the Hello Harvest stamp set. So you don't have to pound, just gently. You can look and see that you have your coverage. And gently up and down. We're going to stamp. Our pumpkin is going to rest on the leaves. And there we go. That's a beautiful fall color. I really like it, like I said, with the Cajun Craze. So now we're going to do some die cutting and embossing. So for that, I'll need my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we'll start with the embossing. So we'll start with plate number 1, the platform. And then next, the Leaf Fall 3D embossing folder. Isn't this pretty? The leaves are falling. Like, okay, very cool. So I'm going to open that up, and then the cardstock we just stamped, the Very Vanilla. I'm going to turn it and put it in like this. Let me see, and close it, and place it so you can see through. I want a lot of the leaves. I'm decorating this to step up my card. There we go. Now place this on the platform, and then next we need plate number 4, the specialty plate. And with the regular embossing folders, the sandwich is different with the 3D because the folder's thicker. We need the specialty plate that's included with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But if you have a different die cutting machine that works with our plate sizes, pick up a number 4 for the 3D. All right, and so you notice I don't have a bottom cutting pad. I don't need it. We're not cutting. I'm not going to hurt plate number 1 at all. So we'll place this on, and we'll go ahead and crank this through. There we go. And you can mist them with water, or I prefer rubbing alcohol, but I didn't want to get the cardstock wet because I'd stamped on it. But look at how deep those are. Isn't that fantastic? That really did dress this up. So next, the die cutting. So now we're ready to die cut, and we'll continue with plate number 1 on the bottom, followed by plate number 2. This is to make it a little bit thicker to die cut with the thin metal dies, and that's what we'll be using next. Now this time we do need plate number 3, a cutting pad, and then our cardstock. And so we've got the beautiful Cajun Craze. This is for our pumpkin. And so it'll die cut and emboss in the decorative. Now, I was thinking when I first looked at this, this was a fat pumpkin and a skinny pumpkin, which it could be, but we're going to put the two of them together and make a 3D pumpkin. So we'll place this on there. And then I have some mossy metal cardstock, very pretty, these 3 colors. And so then we have our pumpkin stem. And see this raised edge? That goes down, that's the cutting edge. So we'll place that down. And then the vine coming off. All right. And so then we finish our sandwich with plate number 3. Sandwich is what it's called, that you build it up for the appropriate thickness to die cut and or emboss. Too thin of a sandwich, nothing will happen, right? It'll just glide right through, nothing will get cut or die bossed, or embossed, die bossed, or die cut. And too thick, it won't go through. And if it's too thick and you just can't get it to move, stop. Don't jam up your machine. Okay. And look, isn't that awesome? Just adding that decorative touch to these. And so let me put all this aside, and then we just have that banner with wishing you a loveliest day. For the final piece to die cut, we continue again with plate number 1, the platform. Plate number 2, to build it up a little bit thicker. Again, plate number 3, building up our sandwich. And then this time, our cardstock, our stamped cardstock, that we need to be more particular in the banner die that will fit around it. So we're going to center this around it. All right. And then I have a little bit of washi tape to help hold this in place. A Post-it note works well. And you know what? I'm going to move this over here so I can see a little better what I'm doing. I stand when I die cut. I'm always standing, and I can see right over top. When I'm doing a video, I'm sitting, and I don't have the same vantage point. So we're going to pretend this comes out really well, even if it doesn't. All right, and then I finish with another plate number 3. You don't have to memorize all this. It's printed on the plates. And look how that just glides through. You know, doesn't fly through because it's the appropriate thickness, but isn't jammed up because it's too thick. And so then out comes, there we go, pull this off gently. Look at that, our die cut banner. So now we get to put it all together. All the stamping, die cutting, and embossing is done. Now we get to put together my fall handmade card. You know, I failed to tell you why I stamped before I embossed. If I tried to stamp over these raised images, it wouldn't have been crisp and clean like it is. And that's what you get when you use the very vanilla and basic white cardstock for your stamping, crisp, clean images. And then I was able to add that embossing to make it more decorative. All right, so we will look at that. Isn't that cool? And so instead of just putting them on like that, we're going to use my favorite accessory ever, well, adhesive. To me, it's an accessory because it just adds so much to our cards. These foam adhesive dots. I'm going to put a couple on the back of this. There we go. And if you press down with your thumbnail, and they can be short, that edge just pops right up, making it easy to, now doesn't that add a lot because you saw it just laying flat? Now you get it to see it like this. So now we're going to use the mini glue dots. I'm going to use those a lot on this card because I have raised images, and things attach better with a raised image with a glue dot. Now this is flat to flat, but you know what? While I've got them out. Now I've got a few boxes that are, usually they're on here. Instead they're on the little strip here. So I have to hold that in my hand and you press to them. You try not to touch the dots because that'll take, actually I just put that on the wrong side, but hey, for attaching to the pumpkin, not the card. Try not to touch them because that takes away from their extreme stickiness. So because I've got the decoration in there too. Isn't that cool? Just the most elegant pumpkin. And so now for the vine, I'm going to use some of the Stampin' Seal. You could use liquid glue. I just don't like being slowed down. I like to just keep moving. All right, so I'm going to put that. Okay, get that going. Stampin' Seal. There we go. Good stuff. Pick this up and then tuck that in. That really adds to it, doesn't it? That little bit. And then we have some adhesive on there already to attach to this part. And because this part is raised, that's where I'm going to use the mini glue dots again. And we have one on the stem. Okay, so I have to admit I do prefer them when they're on the roll, but I'm learning to adapt. I just need to press on here. There we go. And then our pumpkin is going to sit on the bed of leaves. There we go. Looking oh so sharp. Then I have some raised up over here too, some of the embossing. So I'm going to use that on our banner. Wishing you a loveliest day. All right. I think 3 will be good. Did it come up? Yep. All right. And tuck this in here. So where a little bit of the vine is over top. Aren't these, I just am really pleased with these colors. Okay. Fantastic. So now mini glue dots one more time because again, see, it's embossed. And we're going to layer this onto our mossy metal cardstock and peel this back one more time and get those dots. Whoops. Okay, this one I'm going to touch and push over a little bit. So I really needed it down here. And sometimes the embossing is even thicker and I'll put them in the center, but I think I'm doing just fine. I won't need that. And so I'll have a link to my blog post with this video and all the measurements to make this card. So next we need to do our card base, which is Cajun Craze. And I have the full 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. That's how it typically comes. And so I'm going to show you how to make your own card bases. So I have here the paper trimmer. And it has 2 blades that come with it. The dark gray is the cutting. There we go. And the lighter gray is the embossing. And look how you can push them from either way, out of your way to the top or bottom. I leave my lighter gray at the bottom because I tend to work up here all the time instead of the bottom because, you know, for the embossing. But it doesn't matter. I can push it out of the way. But I need to cut this in half. So my 8.5 by 11 cardstock, I'm going to pick up the guide here, place this at, so a little bit of math, half of 11 is 5.5, and so we have the 6, and you can see this longest line because you have, you know, marks of an 1/8 and even a 1/16, and so we're going to go up 2 and put it right on that line, not next to it, just right on it for our measurement. And then I can cut from either direction, top or bottom, and go either way. All right, so now I have 2 card bases out of 1 sheet of cardstock. And so the next thing I want to do, I just love this trimmer, is score it. And what that does, it puts a line in your cardstock for folding. I was doing a retreat with some of my stampers and someone showed me their cards and I said, well, why didn't you use the scoring blade? She said, how can you tell? You know, you can tell. It's all crinkly, but when you put this nice crease in there, the score line, there we go. And so I've got the light gray, just pull that over it and see that line. All right, that's the ticket. That's what we're going for. And this is how I always finish my cards because, you know, I've been to Stampin' Up! And watch, and all the cardstock is hand cut. I mean, there's a machine, but it's hand cut. And so in case something isn't perfect, I always line those up and then finish it with my bone folder. And then I get that nice crisp fold. So if I wanted to stamp on this, I'm in pretty good shape, right? Because you want your cardstock to be laying down. If I was doing a clean and simple card on the basic white thick cardstock. But I always use the bone folder, and see, look how nice that is and not all crinkly. And so then to finish, I can either just lay it on flat, which looks really good, or I could do dimensionals. But I think because I have this going on, I'll just bring back the Stampin' Seal again. I put my finger where it's a little bit roughed up, and I find an inch in each corner is plenty. But, you know, if you feel better, use a lot. And there we go. Our handmade fall card with our elegant pumpkin from the Hello Harvest stamp set and coordinating rustic pumpkins dies. Well, that will be it when I add my embellishments, the rustic metallic adhesive back dots. All right, so I'm going to use my take your pick tool to pick up and add 3 of these. So there are 2 sizes. So I've got a large one and a smaller one. There we go. And one more larger one over here. Fantastic. And then I promised to show you some of the other color combinations I tried first. So I started first with, here we go. So the leaves in crushed curry with my pumpkin. And I do like You Are Such a Blessing. So I tried that. I'm like, wasn't so sure. And so then I tried with stamping right on there. And so more of a monochromatic. And it just didn't feel quite right. So then I thought, well, what if I just put it right on the Mossy Meadow? Thought it was pretty, but my pumpkin was getting lost. And I had die cut fooling around too. And I liked it other than this was getting lost. Thought, okay. And so I tried again with this. And that almost made it. Then I wondered, since the Mossy Meadow wasn't working, when I decided the Pale Papaya, I thought, oh, look how warm that is. And then this with it. So those are the different things I was fooling around trying with the different colors, and then again ended up with this. And so if there's one of them that just really struck your fancy, please tell me. I'd love hearing from you. But this is my handmade fall card with the Hello Harvest bundle. All the supplies to make my handmade fall card with the Hello Harvest bundle are listed below the video and available to order now in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. When you place your September 2022 Stampin' Up! Order of $50 or more with me, I'm going to send you one of my handmade fall cards. So get on over now to my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. I'm Shelly Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching.